If you've ever read the commentary on any Nintendo announcement in the last 15 years, you've probably heard this little gem of wisdom. Nintendo are creatively bankrupt. They just release the same games over and over. Why won't they release something new? Are you serious? Hearing this as such a common complaint can be a little bit frustrating, mostly because it's a stupid complaint. Yes, Nintendo have sequels, you've figured that one out. Much like Grand Theft Auto 12, Battlefield 11 or Assassin's Creed 10, Nintendo have released several games that were similar to previous games. Those are called sequels. But the thing is, when you're calling Nintendo particularly creatively bankrupt, you're ignoring basically everything about the entire history of gaming. So let's start with Mario. Why is Mario not creatively bankrupt? So if we go from the beginning, of course, yeah, obviously Super Mario Bros. 1 was a huge deal. It was the reason that platforming was about 50% of gaming for the next decade and a half. It basically was gaming for a while, so we don't need to cover that one. That one's not very controversial. We'll move on to the next giant step that the Mario series took. Super Mario 64. This was the foundation of basically 3D gaming. Just the platforming, the camera, so many things about it led the entire gaming industry, not just the Mario series, forward. And in the Mario series, it's obviously a huge leap. It's a huge leap from the 2D to 3D Mario games, how much they innovated, how much they changed, you know. So yeah, and then we get to Super Mario Galaxy, which I feel is basically the next big leap in how platforming worked. This was a fantastic game, and you don't have to take my word for it. It's gotten like 98, 99 average review on Metacritic. Like, it is a near perfect game, and not only is it a good game, but it changed platforming. Instead of just running along a path, you were jumping through the gravity fields of tiny planets. It was innovative, it was great. And do you know what people say? They say, why hasn't Mario ever innovated? Maybe it's because you're not thinking or looking at all. Seriously, this is... And I'm not even talking about many of the games in between and afterwards that changed a lot about platforming. So much more so than any other series has changed its genre or its own series. Like Grand Theft Auto, it's still basically the same core game. Assassin's Creed, it's the same thing. They haven't changed that much, not compared to Mario. Battlefield, it hasn't changed that much, not compared to Mario. And Mario's done this I'm going to give those 3 examples, but I think it's done it more times. And yet people say, oh, Nintendo, when will they do something new? And let me tell you, when they do something new, you cry, this is not a real game! Like Wii Sports, many of the Wii franchise games were incredibly creative, so much so that people said, no, I mean real games. When I say we want a new game, I mean like Zelda, but with a different hat. You're the problem. I'll be a bit shorter about Zelda, mostly because I ranted about Mario for several minutes. But obviously Zelda 1 created an entire genre. Ocarina of Time innovated a lot in the field of 3D, similarly to Super Mario 64. And since then, many of the games have been wildly different. Yes, it has the same framework because it's a series, but the combat styles are completely different. The artistic vision for it has been completely different. Some of it has been motion based and some of it has been on a touchpad. And the Wind Waker, I think, had really interesting, variety of things to do. And then in new Zelda games, they add new things that completely change it up. A Link Between Worlds, the ability to go through walls just completely flips around your comprehension of how the game works. And yet people say, yeah, but you're still rescuing the princess or whatever. Oh wow, big deal. It's not. You're missing the point. Games like Mario they're not a series, they're a medium. You can experience a lot of things through them. They change it a lot. And people just don't seem to appreciate it. That's it for now, and I will see you next time for another edition of Cody's Rant. You can always follow me on Twitter, and I read all comments, so you can leave your arguments in the discussion, if it's still a civil discussion, because I just had a big fanboy rant, so probably not. But I'll see you next time. Cody out.